themselves. What you guys unfortunately are doing here is effectively acting as the hired help for the corporations. I mean, it's exactly what you're doing. Yeah, because you're not taking account of the real. By the way, the Daily Mirror ran a poll yesterday, and in the poll it was 93% of the people voting in the poll were against fracking. Okay. And you know what's happening here is actually going to happen everywhere in the country where this is going to be unleashed.
I'll say you're not the only person to have told me that today. I understand that this is being expanded throughout, but we're not here to talk about the fracking. We're here to talk about what's happening here today between the people here and the contractors.
No, but listen, I know that under that helmet there is actually a piece of organic matter that's capable of independent thought. You know, we know this, and we also know that you have families, and that you're certainly interested in the well-being of your families, the long-term well-being and the health of your families. And tragically, I mean, and of course, I don't expect you to take my word for this. There's no need to, because everything I'm sharing with you is freely available online. All you've got to do is search things like fracking nightmare or fracking contamination.
Gasland.
You know, watch the film Gasland or Split Estate.
Watch Fractures.
I watched it, quite interesting. What's funny is it's wrong to say we don't know what's happening. We do, but we're here to do a job. So as much as we appreciate your point of view, you have to understand that we're here to do a job.
But you also have a choice. You and all your fellow officers have a choice. You know, because otherwise, I mean, basically what you're saying is you're using the defence that is used by pretty much all war criminals. Now, I'm not suggesting that you are in the same league yet. You're just following orders. But the reality is, what is unleashed, potentially going to be unleashed here, will, if we look at the evidence of Colorado, New Mexico, Pennsylvania...
I have a lot of faith in the justice system of this country.
Okay. Really?
And it's going to be fought out in law courts.
Okay, let's just take an example of that. Because the last time that the water supply of a community was seriously but accidentally contaminated was in Camelford in Cornwall in 1988. Yep. And 20,000 gallons of concentrated aluminium sulfate was accidentally deposited into the local water supply. Yep. And all of the authorities, the local water authority, the government, the regulatory bodies, all basically denied that there was any problem until the spring of 2010. So 23 years later, bar a few months, it was finally acknowledged that there had indeed been an accidental contamination, serious contamination, of the Camelford water supply, and it was suggested that something in the region of 20,000 people may have suffered negative health effects. Yeah, and then it went on to say it is not known whether anybody died. But you know, that's what we're looking at here. In the US, you have the Halliburton loophole, which basically Dick Cheney managed to get the US government to introduce in 2005. And the Halliburton loophole exempts the oil and gas industry from having to report or acknowledge any contamination of water, soil or air. So when you've got the likes of Michael Fallon yesterday saying there has never been any proven case of contamination in the US, that's because the legislation and the Environmental Protection Agency are all working effectively to support and cover the oil and gas industry. In this country, we don't have the experience for the fracking industry in any way, shape or form, so we don't have the regulatory bodies in place yet. So, yeah, I mean, the concern here is that in 20 years, what are you going to tell your kids when they ask you, what were you doing to help prevent the corporations from destroying our environment, from contaminating our water, contaminating our soil, and literally...
That's easy, because that answer is going to be, I was at Balcombe, and I was there to facilitate a peaceful protest for people that was...
No, but you're not facilitating a peaceful protest. No, you're not. You are not. You may want to convince yourself that you are facilitating a peaceful protest, but the people here want to be peaceful.
Yep.
But unfortunately, you're not allowing them to be peaceful.
Why not?
No, because they want to stop the trucks from coming in there, and you won't let them.
Stop the trucks.
You're actually behaving literally like the corporate hired help.
We have to work within legislation. And if law's broken, then we have to...
But no, the only reason a law is being broken, basically, is because you guys are forcing the peaceful protesters off the streets, out of the way.
I'm sure we could stand here all day and debate that, couldn't we?
Well, excellent.
However, I'm not willing to do that because it's quite hot, and I'm sure they want to reopen the road. So if maybe one or two of you want to come, and I'll carry on the conversation with you. But I'm surrounded by about 40 people here, and
because it's a very interesting conversation. We're all quite.
A chap from Balcombe who went to the land registry and found that, as I thought on Friday, that piece of land can't be counted in front of the gate as a part of the highway. Yet that's what I was told when I got here. When I just got here, you'll have to get off this because this is a piece of the highway. I thought, hang on a minute, this is a private road. I looked on YouTube, so I couldn't get here yesterday, and there was this chap, can't remember his name, Carl Dan something, saying that he'd been to the land registry and found that that was a private road. Police can't stop us going on that.
Well, it depends where the boundary is. I don't know personally where the boundary is.
Let's find out where the
boundary is at the edge of the road.
That is not a part of highway. It just, I don't believe it is.
The highway will run.
That's part of the estate.
Whoa, I listen to you. Let me speak.
Okay.
The highway will run from the centre of the road to hedgerows either side. Now, I would guess that before that driveway was put in, that would have been virgin hedgerows as well. So you'd have to look at the land boundaries to find out where exactly that private estate is. I'm guessing that driveway came after the estate, so therefore that would be a highway. That's just a guess. I don't know where the boundaries are. That sounds in my understanding.
By the way, just an aside, but are you also aware of the dangers of wearing a Tetra radio right up alongside your head? I mean, again, I would encourage you to do your research, but
Sergeant, you're one of your ex-sergeants who's now left the police force. He's drafted this. Head of Sussex Police. This is documentation of how what you're actually wearing is actually detrimental to your health.
and in fact, the police authority became aware of the dangers of Tetra because there were clusters of police officers getting cancers in their right or left cheek, depending on which side they wore the talking brooch. And what the police did was they actually disbanded the occupational health service, the police occupational health service, so that basically no doctor would recognise any cluster. But these things are, again, you don't notice it from one day to the next. It's like the dangers of the contamination. You don't notice it from one day to the next. It builds up. Oh, absolutely. But then I'm not wearing my mobile phone right up alongside my head. No, I don't, actually. I don't.
Speakerphone.
But yeah, you're right. You're right. There's no question.
Just follow your heart,
I
man.
speak to it on a hands-free.
As I said, this gentleman asked a valid question. What would I do when my children asked me what I was doing? And I was here to facilitate a peaceful protest. And I'm quite happy in the knowledge that over the last 3 days that I've had the pleasure of being here, I've done that.
But you know, that's an interesting point. But I heard people give testimony from before the war from Germany, where a lot of the relocation of people was actually mandated by law. It was passed through the Reichstag.
Yeah.
But in Nuremberg, they didn't accept the Nuremberg defence of we're following orders. You have to follow a certain amount of moral judgment. But you know, just in terms of you're saying legally. You're saying legally, you can answer.
But you're going to hear it a lot. You're going to hear a lot more. You know what I really hope is that over the coming days and weeks and months, maybe, that all of the police, everybody who's participating in this, from whatever side, actually becomes more aware and more educated of what's occurring.
It's a close parallel for me. I mean, I've been sort of covering the crossroads here in London, which is blacklisting construction. Now, when they've been standing at the front of the thing trying to stop the lorries and talk to the driver and say, will you respect our picket line, not cross. The companies have called the police. The police have come up and said, well, you've got every right to ask the trucks to stop and have a chat to them. And they've allowed them to do that. Now, I don't see any reason why you can't do the same thing here.
Can we just go and stand down there in the shade of it? Sorry, I'm cooking here. I will speak to anybody who wants to speak to me. I just need to move into the shade of it. If you can just speak down in the shade. That's what I feel sorry. Yeah, I do, Yes, it's not just down to me.
Yeah, but you see my point. Is that,
I don't know.
Someone's made a decision that that's not going to happen.
Yes, well, I don't know who's made that decision. I'm not privy to that, so it's not high in my pay grade. I'm here to talk to you guys.
Yeah.
What I do know is yesterday, when the trucks came down, there was a lay-down protest in the road.
Yeah.
Lasted for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we asked everyone to get up and go, and they got up and went. Mm-hmm. And the feedback that I've got from protesters and the feedback that I've got from officers, all the way up to chief officers, was that was a fantastic protest and that it was impactful and it worked really well. Now, mine and Jason's job, and also my sergeant, our job is to facilitate. We're here for you to ask questions of, if there's anything you want to do, we can ask the command if they're willing to let you do that. But it goes through that structure. I don't know if it's been asked if you can stop the trucks and ask them. I don't know. I'm sure if there was a collection of, say, 4 people who wanted to speak to the driver of the next truck, that I could go to the command and say, there's 4 people who want to ask the driver a few questions. Can we do that? They may well allow that. They may well allow that.
Why not? Because, you know, I mean, our experience in London is a lot of these lorry drivers are union members. And when they see something, they're quite happy to turn around and move on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but as I said, I don't know if that's been asked. If it hasn't, then maybe it can be asked. Yeah, I mean, I can speak to my sergeant and get her to run it through who our bronzes today. I don't know if there are any more deliveries today. I'll try.
It'll be day in, day out.
There'll be deliveries tomorrow.
Absolutely. What we don't want to get into is, I think we'd be more than happy today to do it once. What we don't want is for every truck that comes down to be met with groups of 4 or 5 people who want us to ask them questions.
Well, I don't see why not. That's what happens across
that's you know, and that's part of the protest here. Part of the protest is not just to register.
One second. Are they going into a private bit of land?
Yeah, the Crossrail project is private land.
So the issue we have here is this is public road.
Oh yeah, but they're stopping them on the public road. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same.
I would say we need to keep this open, and that's one of the things we're trying to do. Is because as well as balancing.
But normally it's just a quick, you know. It takes so long for you lot to get the trucks down. So actually, it's a bloody long way out there. Is that, you know, this picket line, obviously not something off straight genius, so that's all. It's the picket line, you're asking us to cross it, all right, fair enough, move on. It'll be a lot quicker than what you're doing at the moment. And at the same time, we'll stop and completely destroy all the drinking water. Because I mean, at the end, of, you know, facilitate peaceful protest. Let's face it, everyone here is to try and shut this job down. There's no question about that.
I know.
If you facilitate
the protest isn't just about standing here waving the banners. It's not just about you know, registering our displeasure by making it difficult for people to do it. It's actually about engaging with people, talking to people, sharing ideas, and especially the people who are actually involved in the process, so that they're informed about what they're doing, which is the same question what I asked you earlier. The fact that something is lawful doesn't actually necessarily make it right in terms of the moral judgments we make. And obviously, you doing your job, you're here to facilitate peaceful protest.
I joined the police 10 years ago, and 10 years ago when I put the uniform on for the first time, proudest day of my life. I couldn't believe it. And still to this day, every time I put my uniform on, I feel a sense of pride. I'm a Crown servant, I serve the Queen. That legislation's in place. I'm going to do with what I need to with that legislation. Until that changes, I'll continue to do so, because that's my job. Just as you guys have come down here to protest, I respect your right to be here. I respect your right to talk to me and tell me about everything, which is good, because you know what? 2 weeks ago, I didn't have a clue what fracking was. I was quite happy in my own little bubble with my little uns and the world, and I feel like you guys are opening my eyes a bit, and now I know about it.
And sooner or later, you know, as time goes, sooner or later we're going to have to convince you, like, to, you know, at the very least stand aside.
You know, it's interesting.
Say don't talk to the police. I went to Bolivia where I've seen the police not just stepping aside, but actually joining in on the side of the front and going, no, hang on, this is wrong. We're coming in with them. So I think it's always worth talking to you.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
the other thing is, like I said, there's a poll in the Mirror the other day. 95% was against fracking, and then in Balcombe, there's quite another, you know, big number of people who are against it. As
I said, I'm a firm believer that the right thing will happen, but it has to happen through the right channels, and I think legally it will be challenged, because if 98% of the people are saying, oh, hang on a second, we're not happy with this, then and if that transmits across a wider range, so rather than it being, say, 5,000 or 10,000 people that are asked, if that's then 5 million people that are asked and they're all saying, oh no, we're not happy about this, something will happen. You've just got to believe the legal process in this country that will allow that, and that's what I believe.
Yeah, that's interesting. And how many days have you spent in court in your job so far? Christ knows, lots. Yeah,
and 2 or 3 days a month. Probably.
Okay, and how many of those defendants are defending themselves?
not many.
Okay. And how do you...
Yeah, I know. And that's why I wanted to move down to the shade.
Are you alright in the
Yeah,
States?
that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
And with the changes that are happening in legal aid, are you concerned about how the justice system is working?
Absolutely. One of my good friends is a defence solicitor, she's a lovely lady, and I've had lots of conversations with her, and people need that. It's a fundamental right, and they need that, and it does concern me. But again, I think the right thing will be done. I genuinely believe the right thing will be done.
Yeah.
Excuse me 1 second.
All right.
My phone's ringing.
Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure for you.